to Stardust Stereo, and welcome to 2026. Today is the third day of the new year. Today I'm going to talk about the full moon that occurred in the wee hours at 2 a.m. approximately. This full moon at 13 degrees Cancer is conjunct the USA's sun. It's quite the poignant full moon for America, the USA. There will be substantial changes happening within the highest office, and this will pertain in some part to the public's desire for it. Now, full moons in general relate to what is being shed light on and what we need to let go of. So on a personal level, you can look to where 13 degrees Cancer falls in your chart and where the opposing point of the sun is at 13 Capricorn. And you can see how modifying whatever behavior or habits that moon holds, the house that it holds, will help you reach your goals. The moon always represents change, and it's in its home sign when it's traveling through the zodiac placement of Cancer. This particular full moon would have a focus on diet, the physical home, also the temple home, your body. Your body is your first home. What changes do you need to make in your body, in your dietary habits, in your everyday actions to make sure that your physical body is working at an optimum level? That's the first question. And also the second question you should ask yourself with this full moon is, am I compassionate with myself and others? Because the last transit that full moon will make will be a trine to in the sky Neptune. So where does your compassion lie? And are you as forgiving to yourself for your shortcomings as you are to others, and vice versa? The other element you might ponder on with this full moon is, what are the ways that I empower myself? Because the sub period of that full moon at 13 degrees Cancer is Scorpio. So where do I block myself? Do I look at the picture and think in the long run, this sacrifice will mean a gain? Or do I strive to have immediate gratification at the cost of my security? Because the Cancer moon also deals with security. It's a nurturing moon. And it's a moon that represents how you feed yourself, not just with food, with who you hang out with, the company you keep. My teacher used to say, if you want to know a person, look at who they hang out with. Is the company you're keeping giving you nourishment? Look at it from a discernment point of view, not from a judgmental point of view. People outgrow people all the time. Just like we outgrow our clothes that we wore in the 4th grade. It's just a natural thing that happens. Not everybody grows at the same level. We have different needs. In long-term commitments, we make adjustments. We have timeouts with our partner that we can't see eye to eye with. We don't dissolve a commitment that's made without deep consideration and deep thought. Because our moods and our feelings are like passing clouds. This full moon chart also has the sun sandwiched between Venus and Mars. So Venus representing love, sun representing ego and action, or the preferred action, and then Mars also, of course, regards action. The sun is I am. So through love, I am action. Is love part of my action? How can I proceed forward with keeping love in my heart? This full moon is very much about not being so hard on yourself, because the world right now is very harsh. But we don't have to view it that way. We can be like Jell-O, preferably coconut Jell-O. If you've never had it, I suggest you try to find it. It is awesome tasting. Now back to the full moon in the USA. I spoke a few months ago, or a month ago, or a few podcasts ago, that I saw a former president passing, and also that this would happen before our current leader might cross. I'm seeing that there is a substantial change in leadership coming, and it's within the next 2 months. I do believe that before spring, our leadership is going to substantially change in America. I don't know in what way or how or why, but there will be a substantial change in America's leadership, because this full moon is smack right on the USA sun, and that represents the president. Mars being in opposition to it indicates that there is going to be some conflicting energy in the military with the president's orders. And there will be somebody within that military field that stands up and questions whether or not decisions currently being made are wise. Now we know our leader, current leader, does not like to be questioned. Well, he's just going to have to get used to it, because the questions are going to be coming. The vertex in the full moon chart, that's a point of fate, is exactly conjunct the USA Mercury. Mercury represents the president's cabinet. It also represents transportation. It represents the ideas that are coming out of the White House. Oh, and I should mention, I use a chart for the USA that was recommended by a woman, seasoned astrologer, Pat Geiser, and it's July 4th, 1776, 12:15 p.m. LMT time in Philadelphia. And I have set this full moon chart for Philadelphia. And that means that the full moon that just happened this morning happened at 5:02 a.m. in Philadelphia. If you live on the West Coast, it was at 2 a.m. So that vertex conjunct Mercury means some fate happening in the president's cabinet, dealing or because of a transportation issue, communication issue. And that Mercury is involved with the square to the USA Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer, the maverick. Some astrologers do not view it as a planet. I do. Chiron in the USA chart is at 20 degrees Aries. That's why we've always been pioneering and first in our innovations and our ideals. Currently, in the sky, Chiron is at 22 degrees Aries. So Chiron is triggering our maverick energy and also triggering our wounded hero, the part of America that has a sore spot somewhere. A country is just like a human being. A country absorbs wounds. If you live long enough, you are going to have wounds. This is part of being alive on the planet. The wounds can be emotional, physical, mental. We seem to have a mental crisis going on worldwide right now, where people only view violence as an outlet. I really wish they would try therapy and yoga. I don't mean to sound silly, but violence does not solve anything. It just creates more problems. And people use violence when they're frustrated and they don't have other tools, or they're just misguided, or they're evil. When Congress meets again after their paid vacation, we will probably see several of the female gender born that way that announce they're leaving. I think a lot of people in public service, particularly in this Congress, are going to be retiring. And it's also possible that we see some long-standing members of Congress or the House, I'm talking long term, leave early. Maybe they've already announced that they're going to retire, but they retire even sooner than the end of this year. So blending America's chart with the full moon chart, it creates a grand square. The sun and the moon, the full moon chart, with Saturn in the USA chart and Chiron in the USA chart, creates a grand square, a wound that can't be healed or isn't fixable via the path that we are currently on. So talking and communication is essential. Positive thinking, seeing who our friends are abroad is needed. We need our allies. And with that moon in Cancer in the sky, that full moon, moving to conjunct Jupiter, we will reaffirm certain relationships with other countries because we will realize we need them. In this full moon chart, we have 4 planets in Capricorn. Actually, we have 4 planets in the asteroid Juno, which is the marriage asteroid, is also in Capricorn. Mercury's in Capricorn at 2 degrees, Venus at 12, the Sun at 13, and Mars at 14. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Saturn is currently in Pisces, but it's getting ready to move in Aries, as is Neptune. So in those last few degrees of a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, it would behoove everybody to reaffirm your faith. I don't care if it's in a rock or in divine. Be brutally honest with yourself in what your situation is. Be optimistic, but be realistic. It's the blend of the both. And have a plan. Have a plan about 2026. Have a plan how to achieve your dreams. Have a plan about how you can become the best you can be. I do not share the doom and gloom view that many astrologers have. However, I do think we need to raise up our stoic spinal column and prepare as best we can for the challenges that we will face in 2026. Because there will be challenges, because that's life. And as we go into this new year, this month, it would be an excellent month for you to stretch yourself and pick one thing that you are not familiar with, good at, that you would like to be. Pick one thing, just one, that you want to learn how to master in 2026. I'm Parker McPhinney. This is Stardust Stereo. I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank my patrons. You know who you are. And if you'd like to become a patron, you can do so at patreon.com/ParkerMcP. There are many levels, and it's so totally reasonable. And if you become a patron, you will also get written material that only my patrons get. I also give my ongoing patrons a discount in personal readings. So give it a thought. And I want to remind you, you are made of stardust. So go shine.